Just a single drop of blood. No painful needles, no waiting for days in hospital corridors. Just one drop from your fingertip, and a tiny machine could detect hundreds of diseases, from cancer to diabetes, in a matter of minutes. Sounds like a sci-fi movie, right? The year is 2014. Right in the heart of Silicon Valley, a 30-year-old woman claimed she had turned this medical miracle into reality, and the world believed her. Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, media moguls, billionaire investors, everyone wanted a piece of her. Her company's valuation skyrocketed to a staggering $9 billion, and she was crowned the world's youngest self-made female billionaire. But there was one tiny problem. That miracle machine she kept talking about never actually worked, and that single drop of blood would ignite the biggest, most dangerous corporate fraud in modern history. Today, we dive into a multi-billion-dollar illusion fueled by narcissism and a deadly gamble with human lives, the collapse of Theranos. It all began with the ambition of a young girl who desperately wanted to be the next Steve Jobs. At just 19 years old, Elizabeth Holmes dropped out of Stanford University, one of the most prestigious schools in the world. Her reason was simple. She had a world-changing idea and didn't want to waste a single minute in a classroom. Since childhood, Elizabeth hated needles and drawing blood. She asked herself, why does medicine have to remain so primitive? That's how the idea for Theranos was born. She even named the company by combining the words therapy and diagnosis. This is exactly where Elizabeth's marketing genius kicked in. She meticulously crafted the image of a next-generation visionary. Emulating her idol, she wore black turtlenecks year-round, artificially deepened her voice, and rarely blinked when speaking to maintain an intense, hypnotic presence. Silicon Valley was so desperate for a new Steve Jobs that they quickly fell under her spell. Just look at the board of directors she assembled. Former U.S. Secretary of Defense James Mattis, former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. These were some of the most powerful political and military figures in the country, yet they had absolutely no background in medicine or science. Investors lined up. Hundreds of millions of dollars flowed into the company. Everyone wanted a front row seat on this train that was going to revolutionize healthcare. However, when actual scientists from the medical community asked, how exactly does this machine work? Elizabeth had only one answer. It's a trade secret. Inside the heavily guarded walls of Theranos, the reality was a complete nightmare. The revolutionary machine they called the Edison was a disaster. It was essentially a modified glue-dispensing robot that constantly broke down, overheated, and produced wildly inaccurate results. So how did they fake it for so long? The deception was masterfully orchestrated. When VIPs or politicians came for a demo, a phlebotomist would draw their blood, put it in the Edison machine, and nothing would happen. The screen would show a fake loading bar. As soon as the VIPs left the room, employees would frantically take the blood sample out, run it through a back door to a secret underground lab, and test it on standard, massive commercial machines made by companies like Siemens. To make matters worse, those commercial machines required a lot of blood, so Theranos employees had to dilute the tiny drops of blood with water just to get enough volume to run the tests. The results were dangerously skewed. Patients were getting false HIV diagnoses, missing critical cancer markers, and receiving completely fabricated health data. Elizabeth wasn't just lying to investors anymore. She was playing Russian roulette with people's lives. As the lies grew larger, the atmosphere inside Theranos turned toxic. Elizabeth Holmes and her chief operating officer and secret boyfriend, Sunny Balwani, ruled the company with iron fists. Surveillance cameras tracked employees, emails were monitored, and everyone was forced to sign draconian non-disclosure agreements. If you questioned the tech, you were instantly fired and threatened with financial ruin. But a few brave souls refused to be silenced. Enter Tyler Schultz, a young researcher at the company, who also happened to be the grandson of former Secretary of State and Theranos board member George Shultz. Tyler noticed that the Edison machine routinely failed quality control audits. When he brought his concerns to Elizabeth, he was brushed off. When he wrote an email to his grandfather, he was cornered by company lawyers. Alongside Eric Chung, another young lab scientist, Tyler made a dangerous decision. They decided to bypass the corporate empire and contact a legendary investigative journalist at the Wall Street Journal, John Carreyrou. Working in complete secrecy, dodging private investigators hired by Theranos to follow them, these young whistleblowers provided the smoking gun evidence that would dismantle a multi-billion-dollar empire. October 15, 2015. The Wall Street Journal publishes a front-page exposé by John Carreyrou. The headline sent shockwaves through Silicon Valley. It revealed to the world that Theranos was not using its own technology for the vast majority of its tests, and that the results being given to real patients were dangerously inaccurate. Elizabeth Holmes went on the offensive. She appeared on CNBC, famously stating, "This is what happens when you work to change things. First they think you're crazy, then they fight you, and then all of a sudden you change the world." But this time the charisma failed. The FDA stepped in. Federal regulators launched massive investigations. They found horrifying violations in the labs. Partners like Walgreens instantly terminated their contracts and shut down all wellness centers. In a matter of months, the $9 billion valuation vaporized to absolute zero. The world's youngest self-made billionaire was stripped of her fortune, her company, and her reputation. The illusion had shattered. The final act of this tragedy played out in a federal courtroom. In 2022, Elizabeth Holmes stood trial for massive fraud. The defense tried to paint her as an innocent, naive visionary who simply failed. But the prosecution showed a pattern of deliberate deception, forged documents, and a total disregard for human life. The verdict: guilty. Elizabeth Holmes was sentenced to more than 11 years in federal prison. Sunny Balwani received nearly 13 years. Theranos became the ultimate cautionary tale of Silicon Valley's famous ethos: fake it till you make it. In software, if your app crashes, people lose their data. But in healthcare, if your technology crashes, people lose their lives. Elizabeth Holmes wanted to change the world, but instead she became a reminder of what happens when unbridled ambition turns into a deadly delusion. What do you think? Was she a cold, calculating fraud from day one, or a visionary who got trapped in her own lies? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for our next financial downfall documentary. Thanks for watching.